Hey everybody, Adrian Nelson here, Regression Hypnosis practitioner, and this is just another one of those videos where I am answering some questions that some clients and prospective clients and just people in general have been asking me when it comes to regression hypnosis in the way that I do it. Now, the question that I had was, is traditional hypnosis, which is when we speak about traditional hypnosis, we speak about sort of like clinical hypnosis that you have with a therapist. How is that different and how is that the same to regression hypnosis, or what people sometimes call past life regression? So what I'm going to do is let me just sort of explain to you the basics first of actual hypnosis itself, and then I will talk a little bit more about the regression part. So hypnosis itself, I've said this many times, but I'll say it again. Hypnosis is not sleep. And if you speak to a more or any regression hypnosis practitioner, really, or a traditional hypnosis practitioner, somebody that sort of just does that on a general basis, they will explain to you that hypnosis itself, it is about directly communicating with your subconscious mind to allow the subconscious mind to release certain thoughts and beliefs and to sort of like accept other thoughts and beliefs. So releasing what doesn't serve you beneficially and sort of accepting beliefs that do serve you beneficially, because whatever you believe on a subconscious level is what becomes your experience of life. And the reason why that is so is that the subconscious, from all the different bits of information that it has, it forms a foundational core belief of who you are and what your life is and what your truth is. And from all of the information that our senses is taking in, only about 10% of that is pushed through to your conscious awareness. So, as explained before, we don't see, we don't experience, and from a mind point, even acknowledge all of that which is in front of us, opportunities that are in front of us. And as any hypnotherapist will basically explain to you, that they can have a conversation with you where you don't lay back, you don't sit back, you're not told to relax, you're not told to focus on your breathing, to close your eyes, to count backwards, none of those things. We can have a very simple conversation with you and still get your mind to accept that sort of thought and belief. So a lot of times when people go for traditional sort of clinical therapeutic, whatever you want to call it, sort of hypnosis with a therapist, in a more sort of like therapist sort of setup, they would often at the end of the session, do the whole thing where they ask you to relax, where they ask you to calm down. And a lot of times they will only do that because if that doesn't form part of the session, a lot of times people will believe that, that they haven't actually had a hypnosis session. They will think that they just had a chat with someone. And so it's important to understand that there's many different ways to do it. Now, the difference sort of between, and I'm going to call it clinical hypnosis versus regression hypnosis, just for the sake of this video. And it's also very important to understand that this video has got absolutely nothing to do with what is better, what is superior. It's none of those things. All right. So with clinical hypnosis, you would normally find that you go for a couple of sessions. They're normally shorter. You probably book like an hour, and then the session itself will probably be about 45 minutes. And you usually find that you have to go back several times. And what would you and the reason why you go back several times is because the ideas sort of get sort of represented and re-represented to your mind for your mind to really accept it as truth, and that is how the changes begin to take place in your life. With sort of more clinical therapeutic sort of hypnosis, the therapist would usually only focus on your life here and now, as a human being here and now that has been born at a certain time and that has taken on certain thoughts and certain values and certain beliefs and certain learned behavior from the time that you were born up until about 6.5, 7 years old, and then usually work with that. Regression hypnosis, which is usually referred to more as past life regression, is where you go a lot of deep. You go deeper. You kind of go into the space that there's more to you than just this life, you know. And even though we often call it past life regression, you can also go to the future because the mind understands where you are heading. You know, you can go to the soul plane, which is usually called life between lives, where you are sort of consciousness, or if you want to call it a soul without the body. There's timeline regression, which is usually more of what the clinical regression does, which is sort of like from the top, from where you are right now in your life up until the time that you were born, because your consciousness is carried through with you. Your mind is all the knowing from the time that you were a baby, everything that happened around you, even though you yourself may not be consciously aware of it at the moment. Now, with regression, it goes a little bit deeper. It sort of goes into the womb. It sort of goes to the consciousness of previous lifetimes, other planets, other existences, other consciousness, and that sort of thing. And I think it's important to understand that you don't have to be a spiritual sort of person. You don't have to be into the sort of like esoterics and stuff like that in order to have what is really called a regression hypnosis session, because what I can tell you from all the many sessions that I've done, people don't always go to past lives because maybe, you know, the core initiator of whatever it is that's holding you back, or your problem or your challenge or whatever it is, it may very well be in this life, you know. So I think sometimes we sit on the idea that things have to go a certain way, but they actually really don't have to. I spoke to one of my previous clients. I sort of asked her about it. And the reason why I asked her about it is because she's a transformation coach. And so she has had a regression hypnosis session with me, but she's also had hypnosis sessions in the more traditional sort of clinical hypnosis environment. And she said what she liked about the session with me is that there was more of a sense of play. So this lady's an Aries, and Aries, typically Aries energy, they sort of more embrace a more playful thing. They don't really like to be pushed. So she said there was more a sense of freedom. It was more relaxing, giving you more time to sort of like explore where these feelings originated from. And I suppose what I also need to say is that when you have a session with me, I would usually set the day aside for you, and you would be with me anything from 4 up until, I would say maximum 6 hours. And what happens is I would normally have a conversation with you beforehand. I'm trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. I'm trained in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And, when you speak to someone, or when someone speaks to you, they tell you a lot apart from the words that they use. And so when you speak with someone, you really get a real idea of how their mind works and how their brain works, because sometimes people will say that they can't be hypnotized, or, sometimes practitioners says they just couldn't get somebody into a trance. Now, I like to have a really deep understanding of things. So at this point in time of making this video, I have basically taken all the training that I have in regression hypnosis 4 times from 4 different trainers, and I'm currently busy taking it from a 5th trainer as well. And the reason why I do that is because a refresher course is it's so beneficial for me as the practitioner. It helps me to help other people better. But the thing is also that, you meet many different sort of people, and different people has got a different way of communicating the same sort of information to you. They relate in a different way, and I like to understand where different people come from. There's different ways of getting people in trance, and when you take the time to really speak to them, if you ever speak to, or if you maybe had a session with me, speak with somebody at a session with me, to say we had like an hour and a half, or like maybe a 30-minute conversation before, and depending on the person, and 5 minutes into the conversation, 10 minutes into the conversation, I started to relax. I started to be able to speak, and it really flowed. But the reason why that is because even though your eyes are open and I'm not asking you to relax, I may very well offer you a cup of tea, and while you're speaking to me, I'm already working with your mind. I'm already working with your brain. So technically speaking, you are already in trance, even though you're not aware of it, And I know a lot of times when people do my sort of sessions, it's because, they really want to go deeper. You want to have a deeper understanding of who you are, where you come from. And I think in that sense, past life regression is really incredible, because it really helps you to understand in a very personal way that there's more to you than just this life, you know. But in the same token, if you, for example, you maybe wanna overcome something like alcoholism or something like that, that is something that I'm very able to help you with, and you may or may not go to other lives. And the thing really about going to a past life is, when somebody comes to me and they've got a problem, a challenge, it doesn't really matter what it is. When you go into trance, say, what is the core initiator of this? Where did it start? Why is it here? And that is why it often goes to other lifetimes or other dimensions. Sometimes a person just needs to rest. And I think that is what's really, really fantastic about these sessions that I do. You really get to rest on a deep, profound level, because the thing about the conscious mind is that the conscious mind is always doing this. Even if you're looking at this video right now, your mind might have already given you all sorts of different things to do, go in different directions. I believe him. I think he's talking nonsense. I'm not sure. I need to go look this up. I need to research that. I need to ask my friend. I need to maybe study for myself. The conscious mind is always going. It's always going. And it can be very exhausting, really. And what often happens is when we are overwhelmed or we feel challenged by something or whatever it may be, that is when the mind really start to sort of don't want to give you even like a moment to just really sort of sit with your thoughts sometimes, because the conscious mind always feels that it has to do something. Whereas with regression hypnosis, we, say to the conscious mind, it's fine, you can take a little break. And so you really get to rest on a very deep level, on a very profound level. You get to rest emotionally and physically and mentally. And that in itself, it really, really makes such a big impact on your life. You get to really relax in your breathing. So it's almost in a sense, whether you go to other lives or not, and whether you're still very present in your session or you're very gone, you get to really relax. And the fact that you get to really relax in itself is very energizing, because your body in itself gets a time to really regenerate itself. I always call it taking your soul on a vacation. And I think the other thing to also just understand, and this is what all hypnosis really is, that because you are releasing so many of the thoughts and the deeper beliefs that were weighing you down, because whether we are consciously aware of things holding us back or not, it still takes a lot of our personal energy to suppress those thoughts. And when we release that, we have this almost like a burst of energy. And so after a session, you often find yourself feeling very revitalized and very energized and very sort of positive, because you don't have to use that energy to suppress certain things any longer. And what I like about what I do, or the way that I do regression hypnosis, is that it really gives you the time for your feelings to originate. There's not a sense of rush. I go into trance with you. Let's go look at this. Let's go look at that. Let's go explore this. Let's go explore that. When you go into trance, or when a client goes into trance, I go into trance with them, so they can really, even if it's somebody that's not very sort of intuitive, psychic, not very good, like strong connection with their gut and stuff, which in fact we all have in any case. It is really, because when you're on the clock, a person can sort of pick that up in your energy, because 95% of our communication happens on a subconscious level, and you're going to be able to pick up on that whether your eyes are closed or not, because you pick it up on a deeper level of understanding. We are always communicating with each other, so you pick it up on a person's breathing, the tone of their breathing, the way that they're speaking, the way that they're shoving their body, the sort of like the sense that's being, the natural sense that's being released from your body, that is very sublime. So you're not really normally usually able to just pick up on that consciously, but on a subconscious level you will pick that up. And if you're on the clock and there's a sense of rush, you actually I feel that the one thing with that's a little bit of a concern to me is that when you are at this deep level of relaxation, where your mind is really like a sponge, and what you feed it is going to pick up. when you're with someone that maybe has a sense of urgency and a sense of rush with you, you can actually pick that up as a belief for yourself. So you pick it up as a truth for yourself, like a personality trait, and then you can actually sometimes begin to feel sort of rushed and stressed in your life, for certain things. But then again, obviously, if you work with a, with a practitioner that really knows what they are doing, which is most of the time, then you wouldn't have those sort of things happening. Okay. But I just sort of wanted to give that sort of out there to you. In my essence, what I do is I don't plan anything after regression hypnosis session. My plan is to relax. So I'm not in a hurry to get you to go, to get you to leave. You gotta go. I've got another client, that sort of thing. And it lets me be very, very present during my session. And, majority of the other regression hypnosis practitioners or past life regression practitioners, if you want to call them that I know, they sort of work in the same sort of way as well. And so I don't really say which is better. I think I'll give you the opportunity to make up your own mind in that sort of sense. But what I can say is that, I think what we want to bear in mind rather is that when we do these sort of sessions, this is your life. What we do here has an impact on you for the rest of your life. And I have to be honest, I'm one of those people that when somebody says to me, I just work intuitively, I don't need any sort of training, I don't need any sort of coaching, I just work intuitively, I sort of get alarm bells that are going on, because hypnosis is a very scientific thing, actually. It's a very having a human experience sort of thing. And a practitioner want to have a very good understanding of how the human brain works. Things like, how the placebo effects works, why the placebo effect works. I think it'll be very beneficial if you at least have a mild sort of interest in things like, quantum physics, how the world works, how energy works, but not just in an esoteric sense of the word, but how energy works in a scientific way. How the law of attraction works in a scientific way within your mind, within your brain. Obviously I work with the angelic realm in all that I do. I love dragon energy. I absolutely love dragons. But I think the thing to remember at the end of the day, you're a human being here and now in the human experience again, and you want to approach things from a human perspective, before we, try to find out, whatever enlightened being you are and that sort of thing, because technically we're all connected to everything in any case all the time, and all the knowledge is inside of us. And I think the thing that I really like about hypnosis specifically is because when you firsthand experience something for yourself, there's no way that you can misunderstand it, because it's your mind speaking to you. And yes, I'm a psychic tarot reader, and I do my weekly readings on YouTube, and I do a lot of personal readings, but I'm still giving you the information through sort of my filter, and you absorbing it through your filter. Even though I really work with my psychic guides quite a lot, and they would tell me how to convey the message so that you get it best, which sometimes makes no sense to me. And then the client's like, oh my goodness, that's so profound, which to me is very personally fulfilling. But the thing that really makes regression hypnosis so amazing, any hypnosis really, is that when you are basically standing face to face with your own mind, there's no way that you can misunderstand it. All right. So I hope that answers some questions for you. You're more than welcome to put anything into the comments. Obviously, please keep it clean and respectful. But you're more than welcome to put questions over there, feedback, adding your own things, your own thoughts. If you want to maybe personally email me, my email address is down below in the description, ahngreatlife.com. I'm more than happy to maybe make some more videos, do more research, and you can just let me know. But apart from that, if you are interested in having a session with me, you will see on my website, ahngreatlife.com, under services, the ESA section for regression hypnosis. I think it's called past life regression at the moment, because a lot of people just sort of resonate with that wording. But there's a lot of details over there. There's a lot of preparation for you over there. And even if you don't have a session with me, you can still benefit from a lot of that as well, because especially with the sort of the list to get ready, I actually got that from another friend of mine who's also a regression hypnosis practitioner, and she got that from another lady that's called Candice Crow-Goldman, who's the founder of BQH, or Beyond Quantum Healing, who used to work a lot with Dolores Cannon, who put forward QHHT. So in a sense, we always help each other. And I think that is what I really like about regression hypnosis practitioners. And there was, for a couple of years in my life, I was a professional photographer. I love photography, because sometimes I might not be able to put into words what I mean, but a picture really can speak 1,000 words. And photographers have got that wonderful thing that they also help each other, which I really, really love. And that is what regression hypnosis practitioners, would generally do as well, because the focus is your greatest good of life. So if you are interested in going to a practitioner, I always say make sure that you go to somebody that really sort of resonates with your truth. Do some good research about that person. I would say never do anything when you feel pressured. I never try to pressure anybody to have a session with me or with anyone else, because I want you to feel comfortable about what you are doing. And my goal with everything I do is always the same at the end of the day. And it's your greatest good, unlocking your magic, finding the magic within you, to work on that, to expand on that, to grow that, to maintain that. Because at the end of the day, your life, which is so precious, is about you. So from my heart, namaste, love and light.